杉先輩 OK です。いいですよね。お、じゃあ大丈夫 OK あれ。
Welcome to Judge Test for Ryota Cup 2014, and I'm sure you guys have a fantastic debate in this Judge Test. So the motion before this House is that this House would allow companies to prohibit employees from showing their religious symbol at work. So without any further ado, I call upon the Prime Minister to speak on the motion standing his stand. Here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In some cases, companies have a right to prohibit the employee's action. In today's case, the religious symbol clearly applies to this principle. So we are very proud to propose. In my speech, I'm going to talk about three things. The first is the company right when company regulate the employee's action. Secondly, I'm going to talk about why today's case the company have a right to regulate. And thirdly, I'm going to talk about the after plan adoption, why we can protect the company and also employee. So I explain one by one. The first is before that, I show our model. The first is this plan introduced in liberal democracy. And secondly, after passing this policy, the government allow companies prohibit the employees at only workplace. So for example, in private space, these people can have the religious symbol. Only workplace, we strongly allow companies to prohibit. Next, I explain our point. The first is the company's right. So when the company have a right to regulate, so we believe if this action clearly damage to the company's profit, for profit, the company have a right to regulate their action. So I have three reasons. The first is the company's action deeply depends on their profit. And secondly, the companies invest money and time on these employees. So companies have some extent right to regulate their action. Moreover, thirdly, between employer and employee, their contract each other. So in that kind of situation, the company have a right to regulate their action. So for example, in status quo, for example, I will look, prohibit love the other person. So these things is a fundamental right. However, status quo, for the profit, the government allow company to prohibit. And moreover, for example, peers and for example, gold hair, in that situation, it's a habit and it's identity for some people. However, in status quo, even if identity, even if habit, the government have a right to prohibit the things. Because simply that, if the people have a pierce, if the people have the gold hair, in that situation, other people think it's strange. For example, it's not look at the honest person. So in that kind of situation, for the profit, the company clearly have a right to regulate this situation. The secondly, I'm talking about why today's case the damage to the company's profit, because of these religious symbols. I have three situations. The first is, for example, the partners company. In the status quo, the companies have some ideas. For example, the gay-friendly company. This company, for example, the employees, the country. In that kind of situation, in that kind of situation, clearly don't likely to succeed their negotiation and so on. So in that kind of situation, these partners company, these partners companies clearly damage the benefit. And moreover, why link with the religious symbol? If in the case of religious symbol, they only look at one time. They have different idea from me with me. So in that kind of situation, these people cannot believe each other in that kind of situation. For example, some people believe the absolute God, the one God. However, the other people don't believe these things. So in that kind of negotiation, in terms of partners company, highly likely to fail. So in that kind of situation, damage to the company's profit. Moreover, secondly, for example, other worker, in the workplace, these people if these people hurt their symbol, in that kind of situation, every situation, these people, the employees have to care their religion. and so on. So in the workplace, in workplace, other workers think that these people have fixed idea and so on. And if the different the region, in that kind of situation, they cannot easily cooperate each other. So in that kind of situation, clearly damage to the company's profit. And thirdly, for example, the consumer's level. For example, at the supermarket and so on. In that kind of situation, if the people that have, for example, the laser symbol, in that kind of situation, these people have, as I said, these people think that these people have different idea. So, for example, change their supermarket and so on. So, in that kind of situation, clearly damage to their benefit. So we believe that in the case of laser symbol, that clearly apply to this case. So even if the radius is a habit, even if radius is identity, as I said before, for example, Pierce and for example golden hair. So in that kind of situation, the company have a right to regulate. So because their contract between the employer and the employee. So we can clearly draw a line. Thirdly, I will talk about the wise after plan adoption that we can protect the company and the also employee. So after passing this policy, clearly the government allows the company to prohibit employees from. Please.
So are you saying under the name of the profit-seeking, companies can do everything like brainwashing or installing some political ideas, everything and so on?
No. As I said, only allow companies to prohibit employees at working place. At working place, the employees have to work for the company. So in the private space, we don't allow the companies to prohibit. So we oppose the brainwash and so on. So for the profit, company only can do in the at workplace. Thirdly, after plan adoption, why we can protect the company and also the employee. So after passing this policy, before entering company, this employee can select their company. For example, even if people want to have this laser symbol, after plan adoption, this employee can select their working place. So these people, if this rights their system, these people don't enter in these things. So there are no harm for this person. How to status quo? The companies, for example, if these people have the symbol, in that kind of situation, some people have think strange for their employee. So status quo situation is worse than the after plan adoption. So from all reasons, we make to propose. Thank you.
I thank Prime Minister for his speech. Now I'd like to call upon the Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we have to respect for the religion rather than profit of each company. And opening government said that even under the status quo, many companies do not admit the employees which has peers or hair, golden hair or love affairs in working place. However, these things are completely different from religion. Our side things, and we have three reasons why we think the religion is different from such a thing. Firstly, the religion is not appearance things. So peers or hair, golden hair is not appearance things, and this is changed by the change of appearance has a meaning. However, the religion has a meaning in the believing it itself, and having the items for religion is not the completely itself the religious affairs. Therefore, it is not same. And secondly, the main difference is that belief and the appearance. These, as I said, the golden hairs or piercings comes from appearance changes. However, religion comes from their belief. From this point, this kind of different from such a things. And in addition to this, the love affairs occurs between two people. However, religion doesn't cause between two people, people, and therefore this is completed in himself. Therefore, there's no same point as such a thing. And in my argument, I have 3 points in my argument. Firstly, why showing their religious symbols at workplace is important. Secondly, the harm of this after production, this plan. And we can divide. I like to divide this second point into two pieces. So firstly, uniqueness of working place, what will happen, and secondly, the discrimination will occur. And before that, I like to refute against previous speaker. The government side says that if status quo that company cannot get profit because of their religious symbol. However, I have 3 reasons why we oppose to this point. The firstly, the customers or negotiation partner will decide which to where they buy items from by looking at only the good items or goods, because the companies are profit seeker. Therefore, in terms of negotiation, there's no place for religion to interfere. And secondly, even if we have different values, we can cooperate with each other, because, as I said in the first point, the companies are profit seeker. Therefore, in order to get profit, they try to cover the difference between their values. And thirdly, consumers avoid their such a products which has relation with religion. However, if we admit this point, that this society has not offensive motivation towards religion. Therefore, we should not admit this in this point. And I like to move on to the second my argument. The first thing, why showing the religious symbol at workplace is important. Firstly, I have 3 reasons why I think so. That, as the government side says, that religion is identity. Therefore, because they spend every life with their religion, so it is really important. However, after production, their showing way is cut by this motion, so they have no way to show their religion at working place. And secondly, under the status quo, there's a possibility for employees to make good relationship with the other employees who has religious symbols. So by doing so, they can understand the other religions, each other. Therefore, under status quo helps people to have a good image to religion. And thirdly, now under the status quo, the minorities who has religion can yes, please.
Believer still can pray for the God after the work. Why uniquely showing symbol at workplace is important?
Yes, I like to tell you on the second point that the second argument that I like to move on to the third point that the minority who has religion cannot show their religion, and they cannot make their self-realization. Therefore, this is really problematic. Secondly, the second argument, the harm of after production. The firstly, I like to explain about uniqueness of a working place. Well, in working place, every day, long time they spend their time in working place. Therefore, this after production, this really long term. For example, when we work for company for 8 hours, for these 8 hours, they cannot show and realize their identity. Therefore, this is the uniqueness of working place. And this is the first point of harm of after production. And secondly, our side thinks that discrimination will occur. I hit upon 3 reasons why I think so. The firstly, that this motion supports the idea that we should hide the religious symbols like sexual symbols and so on. Therefore, this motion makes such a will to get offensive to religion. And secondly, religious symbol. This motion, as I said, imposes that idea that the religious symbols are not good, and therefore, because the company tried to hide prohibit because of their thanks to the government side said. So, so the discrimination will occur on salary. Various societies, the recognition of various society will decrease. And I have two reasons why I think so. Well, first reason is that even in working place, no variety of religion, so variety of the cognition to variety of religion will decrease because such meeting is really there. So from this reason, we strongly oppose to this motion.
I thank leader of the opposition for his speech. Now I'd like to call upon the Deputy Prime Minister.
So I clarify our stance. We never say the company can prohibit the religious thought or such a religious activity in the working. Only we should say that we can say the company can prohibit employees from showing the religious symbol. Only that. So in that case, we can balance out the benefit of the company and the employees' right. In that case, we should take this motion. So then we want to rebuttal to previous speaker's argument. I have three rebuttal. Firstly, they said it is different from the good here. It is appearance, but this motion that this are showing the religious symbol. It is not appearance, so it is different from this motion. But we never say, as we already told you, that company can deny the religious thought or the religious activity. Only that we can say the company can protect or can intervene the only showing the religious symbol. In that case, they can show the religious thought or the religious the symbol in the private space or in the working. They can think about the God or such a religious activity. In that case, it is not so harmful in their paradigm. No, thank you. And secondly, understanding in the status quo, understanding according to this original thought is so workable in the status quo, but it is not unique to this judgment because the other religious people, they can know about the such activity in the television and in the private space. So in this case, it is not a benefit only in the paradigm. No, thank you. And thirdly, the discrimination that, for example, the showing the religious symbol is not good, or such discrimination happened, they said, but it is not true, because it is the result, it is the fact for the company, because as we already said, that it prevents the dealing with the other religious company or the partner's company or the consumer. In that case, clearly companies can intervene or prohibit such activity because it is so harmful for the company. No, thank you. So in that case, the argument totally doesn't make sense. So let's move to our point. I have 2 points. Okay.
So are you saying that under the name of the profit seeking, for example, the transactions company dislike black people because they are white people, can you prohibit company, can you allow companies to not employ black people?
No, we didn't say that such offensive action. We should not. We should think that it is such offensive. We don't think it is such offensive action, ladies and gentlemen, because we can protect the minimum religious activity, for example, in the private space or so on. And moreover, after taking proposal, they can be protected by the minimum right in the paradigm, and I explain about this later more deeply in our second point. No, thank you. So let's move on to our point. First point, how showing the religious symbol is harmful for companies. And second point, after taking a proposal, we don't deny the religious thought. It means this prohibition is not harmful for the employees, and we can balance out the company benefit and employees' right. So, first point, if we can prove that this seriousness or the harmful, that as we already told you, that for company's benefit, we can intervene or the company can prohibit the behavior. As we already told you, showing the religious symbols prevent good dealing with the other company or seeking a benefit or so on. For example, at the moment, to look at the Catholic cross or such some symbols, other religious people, for example, the Muslims, think that they're Catholic or the employees don't have the same God or don't have the same opinion or so on. In this case, this employees denies the Islam's God or so on. They think in that case it is become difficult to deal with the other religious companies or the consumers or so on. In this case, it is so harmful for the company because such employees cannot deal with such other religious people. In that case, we should prohibit such activity or such action as the same as the gold hair or the peers or the above things for the company's benefit. So or so on. And moreover, so let me on the second point. No, thank you. So after taking proposal, in our paradigm, that it is not so harmful for the employee's right. In that case, so we can justify that this intervention or the prohibition. So after taking proposal, we cannot deny the private space, such a private religious action, of course, and so employees don't suffer from the after taking proposal so much, but because they can seek their thought or in private space, or that they can think about the God in a working place or so on. And moreover, the wording in this motion allowed. So in this case, not all the company prohibit the religious symbol. If they want to show their religious symbol actively, in that case, they can't go to the other company which allows showing the religious symbols or so on. So it is not so harmful circumstance, ladies and gentlemen. And furthermore, in that case, what kind of company try to prohibit employees from showing the religious symbol? It is simple answer. It is global company or such company which have the many dealing with such other religious people or the other religious consumers. In that case, so according to this analysis, we can say that it is so harmful for this harm is so clear for such a company. So in that case, the company should have the right to intervene the employees the activity because it is so harmful. And even if we deny such showing the religious symbol, in that case it is not harmful because it is simple because we don't deny the religious thought or the core identity. In that case, so we proudly propose this motion. Thank you.
I thank the Prime Minister for his speech. Now I'd like to go for the Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We believe that this motion will discriminate people who are believing in religion, and we are highly against this discrimination. My main point is I have one main point: the importance of religion, and how the criteria set by the government is not justifiable. And then, but before getting into my argument, I'd like to have two refutations. So firstly, the problem coming from the government side is that the company's profit seeker, so they have to seek for profit, and in order to seek for profit, they have to ban showing the religious symbol. But let's doubt on this. Firstly, is it true that just because you have religious symbol on, that people don't buy their stuff? Really? Firstly, people, if the company is really a rather than how people they are, and that would be a rather profit-seeking activity, right? So as much as they emphasize that company is profit-seeker, they won't see the people, what they believe, but rather they will see the product or the quality of it. And secondly, they have been arguing that because they have a religious symbol and different value, that will lead them to believe that they cannot cooperate or collaborate with their colleagues, and that will decrease productivity. But really, let's start on this part. Sorry, later. Even though they have different value, of course they can respect each other, and that's the society government should be looking for. Government shouldn't be allowing something that, or allowing people to discriminate other people just because of their religious symbol. And by having this motion, it means that government are officially allowing people to discriminate by looking at their religious symbol, right? And that is what government shouldn't be allowing. And thirdly, and then when company, let's think about what would happen after plan with their profit seeking. Sorry, later. So if the consumers see that the company, a particular company, is prohibited to show religious symbol, then some people, especially people who are believing particular religion strongly, then they would hate that company, and they will think that, okay, this company is discriminating religions, so I would not buy product from there, and they'll start boycotting. So there's possibility of decreasing profit. So my rebuttal for this point is that it is doubtful whether the profit will decrease, and even if it is after plan, it is doubtful if it increase or not. So second rebuttal is that well, in the after plan, what they're explaining in the third point is that in the after plan, they will protect employees, because employees can just select a place where they can show their religious symbol. But that is a total discrimination. That will narrow employees to choose which job, especially because, okay, for example, there are employees who are eager to go to a particular company, but just because they are not allowing, they cannot choose to go to that industry or to that company, and that would be a highly discrimination or unjustified discrimination for these people who wants to get into that job. Yes.
So on the logic level, so you can say the no influence. For status quo, even in peers and golden hair influence their profit, and these people can't respect people who have peers. Why you can say no influence?
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to move on to my next point, which would include importance of religions. So, but it seems like there are misunderstandings in this debate. So what we are saying is that religion is fundamental part of people's happiness, right? They believe in religions to increase their happiness or increase their life quality. And why is showing the religious symbol so important? So I'd like to explain this point. Okay, let's think about example of Let's think about example of Islamic country, right? In Islamic country, it is very important or significant to obey to the rules written in Quran or the religious book, and that is a significant part of their life. And if women wants to get out of their house and work, they have to wear a veil, and that is written in the book. So they have to follow it, and by following them, that means that they are following the words of God, and that is the fundamental part of religion. If you don't wear the veil, or if you are against that God's rule, then of course that would mean that a huge thing to these people, because that is against the God's will for these people. So that is infringing the freedom to believe religion. So what the government side is saying is that they are not banning the belief, so it's okay. But what we are saying is that prohibiting to show the symbol is also like banning the religious of belief. So that would significantly reduce happiness of individual by not believing it. And let me give you another example. This motion is quite similar to This motion is quite similar to discrimination against LGBT or the black people or the race of other things. There are a variety of people, and then we should respect each identity, right? And that is the huge part of, that is what government should be protecting for the social benefit. However, by allowing this company, it means that you can discriminate a particular identity, or it means that you can choose which one to participate, because it's company's free will. Well, company is profit seeker, but at the same time, company should be responsible to the society. They are having a huge role to the society, so they have to take a major role in terms of protecting the diversity or protecting the freedom of the individual. Yes, closing.
French government prohibited wearing the burqa on public. for the social order? Why government cannot put priority on order over the religions?
Thank you for a fantastic question. Let me answer to that. So French government, what they're doing is that they are prohibiting public sphere, right? And what we want to say is that companies are private sphere, and then also companies is a place where I've been saying the uniqueness is that company is a place you go every day and you spend like huge hours of your time, and then that is not like somewhere you only spend like few hours a day or just like few days a month. It's a place where you go every day, and it's a place to show your identity. So just because that people assume or people have a negative image of your religion, that doesn't justify people from not wearing or not showing their symbol, right? So to sum up my argument and consistent stance from the opposition side is that we believe that if people, like what the government side is saying is that because we have negative image of particular religion, they cannot show that. And that is the highly discrimination against these people. And then since government consistently should be against unjustifying restricting the freedom to believe, we strongly oppose to this motion. Thank you.
I thank Mr. Leader of the opposition for her speech. As this is the end of the opening half, I call upon the member of government to open up the case of the closing bench.
Unfortunately, opening half has been confusion. Right? Whether we can materialize the half on those people or the country, and also we have to analyze like in what extent we can ban or not. Right? So that's why we have to go like sort of literal to literal. So this is hypothesis of the closing gap. So first I want to talk about like whether this harm is doubtful or not. Like clarify the context of this debate. I remember like to clarify and also materialize the harm by analyzing the context in this debate. And second, I want to talk about what extent we can analyze. We can extend the principle of the right state or like those kind of like banning the private spheres in those banning those kind of religious broker in private sphere. Why can't we extend those things in this debate? So, and also the answer towards the opening opposition is included in all my points. So moving on, my first issue, right? In what context we are talking about? Ladies and gentlemen, we have to analyze, right? Simply only wear just one cross, right? Company will try to ban, you don't have to, like you should not wear a cross. It's true, I think it's so unrealistic, right? The company in the past will never care about it, right? I really believe, right? The company who have to, like who want to try to like prohibit the employees to not to wear, it's like some first week simply the people or employees are wearing so extremely, showing the symbol in those shops, or simply the case of the conservative shop, but extremely conservative, who only try to like banning all kinds of symbol or religious symbol, Mr. Speaker. And in considering those things, first year I talk about like extremely like those employees try to show religious symbol. In those cases, ladies and gentlemen, we think like those kind of like it can be like materialized harm because like ordinary clothes, ordinary scarf can be like the obstacle for the company, for the consumers to enter those shops, Mr. Speaker. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, the company who has motivation is like simply the employees. Once we hire the employees who suddenly like showing the solar symbol or like hide all parts of the body. Right? In that circumstances, the company has the motivation to ban or like to please not do that, Mr. Speaker. Right? In that circumstances, like we have to like ban and think that exclusively those contexts we think that the harm can be materialized. Why does so? Simply because I think that the public criticism is so harsh for those companies. In the case of like Abercrombie, it is so criticized from society because they need banning or like firing the people simply because they have some kind of religion. Right? Those kind of criticisms can prevent those companies so kind of over running those things. And secondly, more importantly, if the company are so profit seeker, they have ability to compare talents or ability or capability of those kind of employees, or simply the harm on those kind of those religious symbols, Mr. Speaker. Right? The companies are rational actor to care about it. Right? So that's why we believe in that context, Mr. Speaker, we think harm is so severe cases, and we want to suppose a company who try to earn the money, who want to protect their employees, other employees, or in the first place, simply as religious employees in this case. A second case is the conservative area, ladies and gentlemen. And in these cases, we believe to some extent there is a conservative area exists, in South America or so, but it's so rare cases, and more importantly, Mr. Speaker, this answer can be the opening opposition, right? So people who want to enter some company, but some company is banning those wearing those symbols, so they can't enter those companies, they can't be employee. It's hard because the right to work is prohibited. This is the answer to this opening up. I believe those people who have some kind of religion don't want to enter in the first place, right? Because those companies are positively denying your identity, Mr. Speaker, right? Your identity, what you compose, is nothing, right? The company is saying those things, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Those are the atmosphere existing in those companies. Why those people want to enter those kinds of companies in the first place? Those things never exist in the first place. But before moving on the second case, yes, closing.
If you want to be a designer, if you want to be, for example, salary business worker, however, you extremely want to go to that company prohibits you from showing image, you are deprived of your choice to go to that company.
Ladies and gentlemen, we believe we have to compare, we have to understand the spectrum, right? Of course, there is some company in designer or design sphere, the design company, some companies try to ban, but some companies don't try to ban it, right? We believe there's many choices in the first place, so we can't understand any kind of hard closing off. So, I'm sorry, sir. So maybe now, the second issue, right? Why in one extent we extend the case of the state or France policy, ladies and gentlemen. We believe, simply because we can protect the people who have the religion, right? Who have the motivation to show the symbol in our parliament, ladies and gentlemen. Because simply the conflict within the shop, conflict through the working place can be accelerated or exasperated, and we can't protect this under status quo. We can't say those people, employees who have religious and who are religious, Mr. Speaker. Why? Simply because I believe some people who have golden hair, pierce, right? Those people can't show their identity in the first places, right? And they have to endure their habit or those kinds of things. Maybe those kinds of superficially explained by this opening God, but we believe those kinds of things have to be endured by those employees. But on the other hand, simply under the name of religion, under the name of religious protection, those people can show their identity in a symbol, ladies and gentlemen. What can happen? Simply it causes conflict between those employees and employees, right? And those employees believe I have to endure, I can't show my identity, but they are showing their identity, right? But those kind of unconscious and ordinary, every day, those kind of antipathy will be accumulated, or those kind of things will be I'm sorry, sir, but accumulated simply, right? And it causes, ladies and gentlemen, firstly, there's isolation or segregation in those working places, ladies and gentlemen. Because simply, once one trouble happens, right, those people try to impose the responsibility on those people or those kind of things. And moreover, they say, some extent conflict happen, those bad words, you are obstacle on this company, those kind of words will be assaulted on those employees, Mr. Speaker. That's why we believe we can't protect the status quo, right? And the same reason is applicable to the rights in France, right? For example, the case in France, there are many immigrants who have Islamic identity, right? And they are afraid. And simply there are many people who will try to assault those kind of immigrants, ladies and gentlemen. Because we have to save those people, because we have to to some extent keep calm, so that's why we are banning those kind of public spheres, wearing the burqa in public sphere, Mr. Speaker. In the same reason, we can apply, because we can protect those employees who have a religion, ladies and gentlemen, in the short, Mr. Speaker. Moreover, we say, the opening half talked about it's a private sphere. It's so important. It's not a private sphere in the first place, right? Some consumers enter, of course, in the short, and also in a private sphere in the first place, right? We can see, transform. We can see those kind of places in the short, the first place. That's why we believe it's not a private sphere. It can be a public sphere, and also the art principle we are standing behind can be applicable to this debate.
I thank member of the opposition for his speech. Now, I would like to call upon the member of the opposition
the company is a profit seeker. It is true, but there is their freedom to protect such a right. But if there is too much discrimination and too much harm to this whole society, the government have to protect such aspect of the company, and so we strongly oppose this motion, and we should oppose such companies radical action to prohibit employees from showing their religious symbol at work. And firstly, I want to repeat that 3 points from the government side. Firstly, they said they admitted that the employees' choice will be narrowed by this plan, and they said, and please think about it. The prohibit such employees from showing their religious symbol at work is the same thing to prohibit their core identity, and it is the same thing to discriminate their core identity, such as the religious identity. And in my arguments later, I will explain why such a religious identity is important for them. And but also it is the same thing to prohibit the black people because they are black, and they are the people who hate such a kind of people, and it will damage the company's profit. So we prevent such a yes.
Yeah, for example, companies should, we believe companies shouldn't deny African American and so on. But showing symbol case, we can change. But this black and so on, they cannot change. Its difference. Sure.
Yes, physically the black people can change, but can't change, and we can stop such a religious people can stop showing their religious symbol at work physically, but mentally they feel that during they are stopping showing their religious symbols. They during the time they can't be protected by the God that they believe. That it is and please think about the black people's case. Even the black people, if they do make many efforts, they can make the surgery or something to or hide their all over the skin or something for not showing their black skin. But it is very hard work for too much hard work for them, and also for the religious people. Stop showing their religious symbol is the same thing to during the time they can't be protected by the God. Their identity is denied, is disagreed with the people surrounded by them, and it is the same that too much hard work and for them, and too much mental harm for such a people. So it is the same thing for and the next thing, they said that if the people have such a religious symbol, there is a possibility they will be given the violence by the other people. But if such a people know that they will be attacked by someone, and with such a fact, and they know that. They keep wearing such a burqa or something. It is their informed their will. It is depend on their will, and also what the government have to change is not the people who want to wearing a burqa, but what we have to change is the people who keep giving the violence to the people who are wearing their burqa just because of their following their religious policy. So we strongly oppose this motion. And the next thing I want to give the extension from some points. Firstly, about after this plan is adopted, the social norm to the religious thing will be decreased and more and more. And secondly, I want to talk about the company has a responsibility to the society, and thirdly, I want to talk about after this plan is adopted, the discrimination for such a people will be more difficult to be solved. And firstly, after this plan is adopted, it means that the government consider that showing the religious symbol is the same thing to wearing a pierce or making their hair gold, of course, it is not the same thing because such a religious thing is not. It is very hard for people to change. Comparing such a pierce or the gold hair, and also it will lead to their whole of their daily lives, and their daily lives is everything is depending on their religious policy and the religious things is the kind of is much more similar to the racial things because it is very difficult to change, and also it will lead to so many things for their daily lives. And secondly, such a company has a responsibility to the society because firstly, such companies are sometimes supported by the government, and secondly, they have too much effective power to the society because there are so many commercials, and the big companies' norm will be leads to the social norm many cases. And if the companies consider that the religious things is not as important to such a people to is not such an important thing that such a social norm will be influenced to this social this whole society. And thirdly, after this plan is adopted, of course we can see that there is a discrimination toward the religious people, like the discrimination toward the people who are wearing their burqa or something. But there is a potentially discrimination towards such a people. So there is still such a dangerous discrimination. So we strongly oppose this motion. Thank you.
I thank member of opposition for her speech. To summarize this debate, I call upon the government whip.
I'm going to talk about two things in summary. Firstly, I'm going to talk about context of this debate by analyzing the true characterization of profit seeker in the first place. And secondly, we would like to analyze the identity issues, whether or not this debate happens under the same as the other identity, or this is same as racial or ethnic identity. So firstly, the context of this debate. The consensus of this debate is company, the motivation is the motivation profit seeking. And we think they fail to analyze that without actual characterization of the company, they say that arbitral discrimination happens. We think we don't think it is true. This is clear contribution from my partner. Because they are profit seeking, they do not ignore the capable person to hire just because they are wearing the casual scarf or they just wearing the crosses in the first place. That's why I think as long and more than that we say, if the company arbitrarily discriminates against these kind of religious people, we think in this particular cases, the criticism from the public or criticism from the state shareholder can still exist. That's why I think the vast majority of the company, there's no discrimination against in the first place. We think the problem in this debate, your problem you'd like to identify in this debate is actual harm exists in the first place. For example, the women who wear the burqa, which cover the entire their body, which is massively difficult, face some exclusivity from the other atmosphere, or difficulty to communicate with each other. In this particular situation, the actual harm exists. That's why in this particular case, this company may deny these cases in the first place. Or in the case of extremely conservative community, who are highly likely to have the conflict in this particular cases, we think the company may choose the prohibition in the first place. That's why I say in the analyzing context, we think their case about, for example, right to work or right to believe is not so serious problem in the first place, because they can still choose, for example, a good multinational company, especially in the context of intelligent person. There are more and more acceptance or tolerance against this kind of moderate believing, because in the global society, these kind of people are accept they are also capable person, even though they have different religious beliefs in the first place. That's why I say in the context of right to work, there is no problem at all. And they also mentioned that the social norm, the creation of the social norm. Firstly, say it is not analogically, it is not unique, because French government already prohibit such kind of public display of the burqa and so on, so forth. Secondly, say as long as I analyze, the majority of company do not prohibit actually because of just casual belief, that still keep the casual belief in the first place. In this particular cases, the social norm do not change in the first place, because we think that rather such kind of good company, for example, the global company, still accept this kind of religious person, this kind of situation, more tolerance happens in the first place. That's why I say in the context of analyzing that, in the context of this debate happening in this kind of actual harm, and we do not think that such a moderate company doesn't have this kind of situation in the first place. That's why on the practical level, we think peace failure in this debate. So let's talk about identity on the practical level and principle level. Firstly, in the practical level, we don't think they are bringing the analysis about why the adapting symbol is directly related to the core of identity in the first place. Because that even without groceries, as long as they have Christianity have the spirit of love your religion, or the protection that Jesus continue to exist inside their mind, they still have the belief in the first place. Or even Prophet Muhammad said, if your friends kindly provide pork dishes, in this particular case, you can eat it. That's why this, in the doctrine of religious identity, there's tolerance towards this kind of social acceptance. It still exists because Muslim community, even Christian community. That's why I say in the first place, the attaching symbol itself does not connect to the identity. We think that's why I say that this is changeable issue as this opening comment mentioned that, and that's why I think in this particular cases we reveal this kind of the nexus between such kind of between two analogies in the first places. Secondly, we say in the analogical level, we think their case must pause. For example, that some problem happening because of religious symbol. In this particular cases, we can prohibit, the community association can prohibit this kind of situation. For example, basketball association, because this is a lot of trouble when they can burqa or scarf is wearing during the basketball games, the basketball association can prohibit this kind of wearing the wearing the scarf in the first place, because there is practical harm exists in the practical harm towards and practical harm and danger exists for the game in the first place. That's why we say that as long as we already proved that the practical harm of the communication in terms of communication or job association, we think that we can justify it in the first place. And in the policy making level, we already provided that burqa cases, because French government didn't care that such kind of social order, because that such kind of wearing the burqa is massively offensive for some people. For example, the progressive women, because women, that such kind of feminist women believe that they want to release the women in the Islamic country, but they actually this kind of follow this idea, or they also fear such kind of exclusive idea, such kind of violence against this kind of religious minority. We think that's why I say that in the policy making level, we think that the government has justification to allow the company to choose this kind of in the first place. Or in the case of Mitsubishi Gom cases, because they have the communist belief, the company, Mitsubishi Gom company, can deny the such kind of employment of these kind of people who have the communist belief, because these kinds are massively harmful in terms of the conflict in the company, conflict inside the company in the first place. Or in the case of Germany, the Nazi symbol are prohibited, even though some people who have the extremely affect towards Adolf Hitler, they still deny the right because of in terms of social order. That's why I say in the analogical level, all those analogies prove that why the company can justification in terms of prioritizing the order over this kind of order over the religious belief in the first place. And more than we say, this is also good for the believers in the first place, because we say if this kind of extremist company exists and they show that we prohibit in the even casual stuff, in this particular cases, they understand that such kind of employees can understand when they apply to the company, this kind of in this company, we cannot wear the burqa, or the more highly possibility to exist in the religious topic exist in this kind of company. That's why we say that more informed choice can exist after taking disposal. Because we say if they do not know, they ignore this, they do not know this kind of characterization of each company, because there are possibility, for example, in religious topic company, that breeds at the workplace, even though because company cannot breed at the company because they do not they show the public display of this cross or the scarf. And that's why this situation is particularly problematic, because they cannot exercise right to believe and right to work in the first place. That's why I say in order to protect the company and both companies and believers, we think outside the area. That's why we are really proud to propose.
I thank Ambassador for his speech. Now concluding the case and concluding this debate as a whole, I call upon the opposition witness.
So, Mr. Speaker, the last 2 years judge test, I participated in Rosa Cup judge test, and I got 76 points. So, I'd like to get over 76 points in this judge test. So, this is my goal of this speech. I'm going to talk about 3 things. Firstly, I'm going to talk about, is it justified for companies to prohibit employees to show the religious symbols? And secondly, which is better practically for the corporations and for those religious believers? We say as introduction, you're saying like Catholic Church discriminates LGBT people. So we can prohibit LGBT people from coming out of the closet. However, we don't think that is a stance government should take. Government should take the stance to fight back against that discrimination that Catholic Church have. For example, we have the discrimination about white people and black people. What we have to protect is the black people and not prohibit black people entering the company. We have to change the side of the offensive people, not the people who are victims in the status quo. We say their stance is completely unjustifiable and completely arbitrary. We oppose the motion. So moving on to the first clash, is it justified for companies to prohibit employees to show their religious images? Open government came up here and told us one line. It is about they can do so under the name of the profit seeking. However, they didn't draw a line, right? Because it's not an absolute criterion. If it's an absolute criterion, we can do anything under the name of the profit seeking, like rejecting black workers, rejecting based on ethnicity, and so on and so forth. For example, if the white people are doing the transaction and they dislike black people, is it, of course, damage to the profit of the company? It can be the reason to deny the black workers from entering the company. No, Mr. Speaker, we don't think that is the legitimate reason for us to allow the discrimination in the status quo. Closing government also told us that the French government and like football game and so on, so forth. However, these are just examples. These are the debates to debate on that topic. If it's necessary, we're more than happy to oppose the French government. We're more than happy to oppose the football teams and so on and so forth. This is the stance from the opposition side. There is no clear reason why from their side of the house. We say from closing opposition brilliantly 2 reasons why the religion should be treated as same as other fundamental identity. At the very beginning of this speech, we say the religion is already accepted as other identities. For example, there is age, gender, ethnicity, and so on and so forth. These are the factors which should not be used to reject the employment even in the status quo in the United States of America or other liberal democracies, which means the religion is already equal to other kinds of the fundamental identity. If they want to say that's different, they should show the reason why the religion is exceptional and religion can be less prioritized than other identities in the first place. there is no reason why from the government bench. So the closing opposition show you firstly that why a religion is almost impossible to change, Mr. Speaker. Its core identity. You read the Quran a lot of times and you believe it every day, and it's your center of your mind, Mr. Speaker. For example, it's just saying, for example, I can change my identity as Japanese people and so on and so forth. Religious people's identity is important as ethnicity or nationality and so on and so forth. If they say they can change that, they're completely underestimating the religion itself. It's completely offensive. Secondly, we say that during work is very important because wearing the symbol is an evidence to show your obedience to the God. It's of course their thought and their identity to think that it's necessary to wear a symbol. If they decide it's unnecessary, it's completely arbitrary because everyone has different idea and everyone's belief is completely different from person to person. So if one person thinks that wearing a symbol is necessary to show your obedience to the God, it's completely necessary for that person and for that believer. And C, we say it's so significant rather than PRs or golden hair and so on and so forth. Those kind of examples are not connected to the core identity. However, religion affects everything in your life. For example, what kind of food you eat, or what time you pray for a God, or for example, how many hours you sleep, and what kind of act you should do based on your like conscience and so on and so forth. Religion composes every factor of your identity. That's why it's completely different from other identities of government side picked up in today's case. Therefore, religion should be treated as same as other fundamental identity. Because ethnicity is also the same with religion, Mr. Speaker, it's almost impossible to change and it affects almost everything in your life. Religion is also saying. So secondly, why companies have the social responsibility? This is also really an explanation from the closing opposition, Mr. Speaker, because companies get benefit from society and government. They have the social responsibility to pay back it to society and make equalized society, Mr. Speaker. That's why we ban the discrimination for the companies against the black people, white people, and so on and so forth. And big companies also have the big influence over society because everyone works at the company and company's economic activity affects whole society. That's why the company has a responsibility to equalize society and not discriminate against the people. Therefore, we say religion should also be treated as other symbol of the identity, and to wear a symbol at the work is very important. That's why on the closing opposition, this clash is taken by the opposition side. Yes, sir.
We've already explained religious doctrine are not so strict that without, for example, without showing crosses you will go to hell. You're talking about the denial of entire identity is not contentious.
No, as I told you before, religion differs from person to person. To what extent you believe in the religion is completely dependent on one person. That's why one person thinks it's necessary to wear a skirt, it's necessary to wear a burqa. It's their identity to do so. Their side of the house cannot decide that is true. So, second, which is better practically, opening government told us dealing. Simply, it's unbelievable, Mr. Speaker. Just because wearing burqa, what is the problem for communication? Dealing is just communication, right? Wearing burqa doesn't affect any communication, Mr. Speaker. It's a discrimination if wearing a burqa can be a factor to deny the transaction between one person and the other person, Mr. Speaker. It's exactly we have to oppose as the opposition side. What we have to tackle from our side of the house, rather showing that kind of discrimination and tackle that, voice out that those people are discriminating against the people who are wearing burqa, those people are discriminating against LGBT people, then we can tackle that discrimination in the status quo. After passing explosive, we cannot do so. Closing government came out here and told us that criticism would occur, however, it cannot occur because companies can make easy excuses that like wearing burqa damage our profit, right? That exactly the government side told you before. They can make an excuse and the criticism cannot work under that circumstance. Therefore, we say that kind of situation cannot be acceptable and informed choice is in the status quo because after passing explosive, simply the limitation of the choices would occur. That's why we think it's unjust. We oppose.